Hey BC, how's it going? Happy Halloween. See, I have my lighting all spooky. Woo! Sorry. Anyway, wanted to do a video in honor of Halloween, and this is a topic that I have covered in a previous video, but since it's Halloween, woo! Since it's Halloween, I wanted to do a reboot of it, if you will. And I'm going to be talking about 5 songs that I refuse to listen to in the dark. 5 songs that since I was a kid, well, 4 songs since I was a kid. The 5th one I discovered as an adult and still creeps me out. But 5 songs that I will not listen to in the dark, and I challenge you to listen to in the dark. So, song number 1 is going to be the title track off of Black Sabbath's debut album, the song called Black Sabbath. So the genesis of this song is actually an experience that Geezer Butler had. He was in a band called Earth before Black Sabbath formed, and he started getting very much into the occult. He painted his apartment black, he put inverted crucifixes on the wall, and he was reading a book on the occult and black magic, and he put it on his bookshelf or his nightstand before he went to bed. And in the middle of the night, he woke up and he said he saw a dark figure, this black, terrifying apparition at the foot of his bed. And when he woke up the next morning, the occult book was gone. And so he was relating that story to Ozzy Osbourne, and Ozzy wrote the lyrics to that song. So you can imagine already it's kind of a terrifying subject matter, especially when you know a little bit of the backstory. But Ozzy sings it with such desperation, such terror in his voice. You definitely get that feeling of dread, that unsettling feeling of, oh my God, there's something totally insane and creepy going on here. And that's what I love about it. It is such a great atmospheric track, great way to kick off that album, and a song I will not listen to in the dark. The second track is Sheep by Animals. Now, if you're familiar with the Pink Floyd album Animals, you know it is by far the darkest album in their catalog. And Sheep, for me, it is, I think it's, well, it's not the longest track. Dogs is the longest track, but nonetheless, it is a very long track. And it starts out with this pulsating bass from Roger Waters, and it goes into a heavy rocker. It was actually a song that they had demoed from the previous album, Wish You Were Here, which didn't fit with the concept of that album, so they withheld it. It was originally called Raving and Drooling. And then when Roger Waters came up with the concept for the Animals, the Orwellian theme to that entire album, they repurposed it as the song Sheep. Now, it starts off very progressive, very hard rocking, and then it breaks into this middle section with just the creepiest kinds of synthesizer or keyboard tones. And you've got Nick Mason, who has his voice reprocessed in a very creepy way. And he starts, I forget which psalm it is, but anyway, he starts reading this psalm from the Bible, but they transform it into a song about how the sheep are going to rise up, and it's got knives. I mean, I won't go into it in too much detail. If you've not heard it yet and you like unsettling, creepy kinds of tracks, I would definitely turn the lights down, turn the lights off, listen to it in the dark, and prepare to be totally creeped out, if not terrified. Third track is going to be Fire on High from Electric Light Orchestra, just the beginning. Most people have only heard the instrumental, the later kind of up-tempo section of that track. I think it was featured, if I'm not mistaken, on ABC's Wide World of Sports. It's kind of got a very energetic, hard-rocking, I don't know what you want to call it. The main part of the song is hard-rocking, but that beginning, when you set the needle down on that record, holy crap, it is completely spooky, very creepy, very haunting, and you ain't gonna catch me listening to that in the dark. No, thank you. Number 4, I'm gonna go with the Beatles and Revolution 9 off the White Album. The song itself is a sound collage. It was a track that John Lennon had repurposed from what was essentially a 12-minute jam off of the original Revolution #1 track that you hear at the beginning of the 4th side of that record. That track actually fades out. And then what John Lennon did is he took the rest of it. I think the track itself is about 4 minutes long. He took the remaining 8 minutes and then started layering tape loops, started recording bizarre speeches and vocals over it, did some reverse speech, just a lot of creepy elements to this track, and a lot of it because it jumps out at you, stuff you're not expecting. Voices all of a sudden kind of jump out of nowhere. You've got at one point it sounds like a blazing fire. I mean, there's a lot of interesting and very bizarre stuff going on in that song. And for a lot of it, it's very haunting. And I would prefer not to listen to it in the dark. Definitely an interesting song. I don't hate that song. It's just very unusual. It's the most bizarre thing the Beatles ever recorded, or I think anyone ever recorded for that matter, in the 1960s, except for my number 5 track. Number 5, I am going with a band, and this was released in, I believe it was the late 60s, but it's from a band called Coven, and they released an album called Witchcraft Destroys Minds and Reaps Souls. And they were making no bones about the fact that they were a heavily satanic band, which for the 60s even I think was a bit bold. But nonetheless, they've got a track where and it's on this album, it's called Satanic Mass, and it's exactly what it says. It is a satanic mass with chanting and reading from the Satanic Bible or whatever. It's actually a satanic mass. So turn the lights off and enjoy that one if you dare. Woo! Woo! So anyway, happy Halloween. Hope that you will maybe check these tracks out today or at least a little bit later when it's dark. But at any rate, have a great one and take care.